Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I'm a librarian at the Cosby Library and Community Commons. And in this video, I'll be showing you some money origami designs. This was an activity that was included in the Adult and Teen Craft to Go kit for October and November. In that kit, we included some play money for you to practice with. So this is exactly the same size as US currency. But of course, you can also use real paper money to make your designs. That's just for practice. There's a couple of designs, the ring especially, you might not be able to make with the paper money. It might be, with the play money, it might be a little too stiff for that design to work. But for most of these, you should be able to use your play money. So here are the two hearts, for example, made out of the play money if you just want to practice before you move on to real bills. Before we get started, I need to mention that it is illegal to deface US currency. That means you cannot staple, punch holes, tape, tear, or cut, make any kind of permanent alterations to US currency. So if you want to hold a fold down a little bit better, you might want to use paper clips. You can also place your design under a book or other heavy object for a little while to flatten it out. If you want to use a design as an ornament, something to hang around the house, maybe even hang on the Christmas tree, you can use a paper clip and a piece of string to do that as well. All of these designs can be found on makeorigami.com, and I'll put that link down in the description, but it's make-origami, ORIGAMI.com if you would prefer to have written instructions, and they do have pictures as well to help you with these designs. We are going to start with a practice design, a bonus origami pattern that we're not going to use money for. We're going to use this index card, and I wanted to go over this one because it's going to show one of the folds that people find a little bit more challenging. One other thing I want to mention before we get started is that these designs do work better with nice crisp bills. You're going to be using creases as guidelines, so it helps not to have a bunch of extra really obvious creases. So if you don't have any nice crisp bills around the house, you can go to the bank and ask for some. Usually around Christmas they'll have more nice new bills to trade you. But if you don't have a way to get any nice crisp bills, you can make them at home by ironing the paper money that you already have. So again, be very careful with this. You don't want to damage your currency, but you can slightly dampen your bills and then use an iron on the lowest setting. So for me, that's the nylon setting. Use an iron on the lowest setting to very carefully iron your bills dry. And you'll want to do it from both sides several times until the bill is completely dry. You can see demonstrations of this on other channels on YouTube. Now let's get to our bonus practice design. So for this, you'll need an index card. So I'm using a large size index card. And if it's got lines, put those lines facing up. And I wanted to show this to you because this uses the technique of making creases and then using those creases as a guide for other folds. So to start this design, I'm going to start with my card tall, and then I'm going to take one corner and I'm going to take that all the way over and fold it into a triangle. So making a completely right angle triangle as nicely and neatly as I can. And then I'm going to open that back up again. And just so that you can see it really clearly, I'm going to go ahead and draw a line where that crease is. Normally I wouldn't do this, but this is just so you can see really well what I'm doing. I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing. And then again, open it up. And now I need to make a crease in the middle of my X. So I'm going to use my previous lines to help me do that. I'm just going to fold down to make a straight line through the middle of my X. So this is a technique that you'll be using a lot doing your money origami. You'll be making creases and then using those as guides later on. Now the tricky thing about this design is you're going to invert, you're going to turn inside out some of these folds. So that crease that I made across the center of my X, I'm going to use my fingers to turn that crease the other direction. And I'm going to pinch from the middle, and then I'm also going to pinch from the top and the bottom to collapse that fold down inside and underneath the top and bottom of my design. So can you see how that was done? So I started from here, folded these two in to make two flaps. So now I'm going to take these two flaps, I'm going to take one flap and I'm going to fold it up. So fold that corner, that tip up to the top of my design. I'm going to take the other flap and I'm going to do the same. So that I end up with a diamond shape. And then I'm going to imagine that there is a line right here in the center. And there just happens to be a line right here in the center because of the lines on this card. But if I were doing this with an unlined card, I would imagine that there was a line right there. Then I'm going to take one side and I'm going to fold in to that line. I'm going to take the other side and fold in to that line. So now I end up with something that looks like this. So a diamond at the top with two little flaps and a long shape at the bottom. Now we're going to make some mountain and valley folds. Actually, I think we're just going to make two valley folds. So you'll see a lot of times in origami instructions that they talk about mountain and valley folds. And I, to be honest, find that terminology a little bit confusing. But what they mean is a valley fold goes towards you. So you're pulling the paper up, or you're folding it up so that it makes what would look like a valley if you were looking down on top of it. If I were to make a mountain fold, I'd be folding away from me to make something that looks like a mountain if I were looking down on top of it. But I usually just say I'm going to fold this up. So I'm going to fold this up a little bit past the bottom of my diamond there. And then I'm going to fold back down. So yeah, those are two valley folds. So there's the valley, and I'm making another valley here. And you won't hear me using that terminology. I just wanted you to be aware in case you went out to look at these designs online and they used that terminology. So what I end up with is something that looks like a Z. And now you might already be able to tell what this is. And I can make two little additional folds here that might make it even more obvious. I'm going to add a little bit to my design. And now, hopefully you can see that I've made a little frog. And he even hops. So I can use my finger to make him hop. I used to make these all the time at my first job, where we had a lot of downtime, and we'd make these and we'd hop them over staplers. And there he has escaped off of the table. Alright, now that we have some of the basics down, let's start some of our actual origami designs. Let's try these two hearts. I'm going to start with the larger heart. So with this one, I started with the bill facing up like this. This time I'm going to start with the bill facing, with the rear facing up, so you'll see what a difference that makes and how the design looks. So to start our heart, you will fold up about 1/3 of the bill from the bottom up. And then you will fold your entire bill in half. And this is just to make a guideline for us to follow. So you'll fold and then you'll open, and hopefully you can see that line right there. And then you'll use that line to make your next fold. So you want to fold to where this bottom edge lines up with that fold that you've just made. And then you'll want to do the same thing on the other side. And you want to make sure that it lines up pretty evenly up here. And hopefully you can see that the shape is already forming. So this is the bottom of our heart. And then to make the curves at the top, I'm just going to flip it over. And there's no exact measurement for this. You'll just kind of fold down, trying to make sure that this is makes a nice right angle triangle. So you'll fold down one of the inside corners. You'll fold down the outside corner about the same distance. And then you'll do the same thing on the other side. Fold down that inside corner and the outside corner. Flip it over and you have your large heart. And this is one of those designs that really benefits from maybe putting it under a book for a little while or using paper clips to hold down right here. That's what I did on this one, to hold down those folds a little bit better. But a book works just as well if you put it under, or any other kind of heavy object, if you put it under something heavy and flat for a little while, it will kind of flatten out. So there's our large heart. Let's try the smaller heart. So for the smaller heart, and again, I'm going to start from the other side this time. So start with the back facing up. So for our smaller heart, you will fold your bill completely in half and leave it folded. Fold in half lengthwise. Or actually, I guess this might be widthwise. You can see what I'm doing, you know what I mean. So again, we're just making that crease right there, and just like before, you're going to take this bottom edge, you're going to line it up with that crease, and then do the same on the other side. And again, see how it's a little bit off, so I'm going to, at the top here, so I'm going to wiggle it around a little bit and make sure that lines up. And now, just like before, we're going to flip it over, but if we were to fold down our corners here, that would look like a pretty funny heart. It would look like a really long heart. So to take care of that, we're going to fold down our two flaps, our two pieces that are sticking up here. So we're going to fold that one down, fold this other side down, and now this will make a more reasonable heart shape. So now we simply fold in that inside corner, fold in that outside corner, fold the inside corner, and the outside corner. And there you have your small heart. And if you want to make this look a little bit cleaner, you can, now that you've made these guidelines, you can invert these folds and tuck them inside. So this is sort of like what we practiced with the frog. You can see how I tucked that fold inside. You can do the same on this side. So you can see the difference there, and it looks a little bit cleaner on the back. And you can see the difference between the two sides there. So there we have our heart designs. Okay, next let's try the sailboat design. So this builds on some of the things that we did with the heart design, which is why I want to do it next. So with our sailboat, you will start by folding your bill completely in half. And leave it folded. And then fold in half again. And unfold it. There's that center line. You're going to fold up to that center line, just like with the heart. And then up again on the other side. Again, I'm going to make sure that that's straight at the top. But this time we're going to unfold again, because what we're really looking for is we're going to use these creases as guides to do that fold that we practiced with the frog. So I'm going to turn these folds inside out. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to tuck this fold inside using those creases that I made before as a guideline. And I ended up with them a little bit uneven at the top, but for this design, that's not going to make a huge difference. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. And you can see that these are going to turn into the two sails of our sailboat. So to make our sails, first we need to open up the sides of our design to where that center gap is not showing anymore, and I'm going to do that on both sides. So it was like this, and I just folded the opposite way to get this. And now I'm going to fold down all the way down one corner. I'm going to take the other corner, fold all the way down to where I make a straight line all the way across the bottom. And this is my short sail. So I've just folded both corners all the way down to make a straight line. Now on the other side, this is my tall sail, so I'm not going to fold all the way down. I'm just going to fold part way down, but still to the center to make a peak. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So you can see I didn't make a straight line this time. I made a curved line going up. And then to finish our sailboat, we're going to make that gap in the middle reappear by folding back over on both sides. Make sure that stays tucked in. There we go. And again, you'll just kind of work with it until the folds look nice and even. And then all we need to do to finish, so there are our two sails, all we need to do to finish is give it a bottom, give our boat a straight bottom. And to do that, we'll simply fold back whatever we decide the back of our boat's going to be. We'll simply fold back that bottom point to make the bottom of our sailboat. And you could do this from the opposite side as well if you want the long sail on the left. You'll just do it from the other side. And this is meant to be a standing figure, so you might want to put a paper clip on the bottom to sort of hold it down so that it can sit on a flat surface. It's not going to cooperate with me outside here in the wind. But there is our sailboat. Let's try the tree design this time. This is one of several different tree designs. And in this one, I started with the bill facing up. So I'm going to do the opposite this time so that you can see what that looks like. To begin our tree, you will need to make 2 guidelines. So you'll make the first by folding the bill in half this way. And then you'll make the second by folding the bill in half this way. So now you have a cross. So for the sides of the tree, this one is a little bit tricky because you want to make your fold go from the end of this crease diagonally to the end of this crease. So it doesn't look like a nice regular looking triangle. And I kind of roll it to get the end to be where I want it to be. And again on this side, and you are going to automatically fold back a little bit of this side as you go. So again, I'll do it this direction, maybe you can see a little bit better. I want my fold to go from there all the way down to there. And then you'll simply fold this back so that it doesn't show from the other side. And then we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So again, folding from here all the way down to here. And then folding the other side. There we go. And you can see here, so that's how the one on the inside became folded as I went along, and then I just fold this one back. Now the next step is to fold our entire design in half, and you can see we end up with something that looks kind of like a mountain, but our tree does not have a trunk yet, so we need to give it a trunk. To do that, we'll choose which side we want to be the front of our tree. So I think I want this side to be the front of my tree. It's a little bit more interesting. And then you'll put that side facing down, and you'll fold the other side down about 2/3 of the way. And then fold a little bit of the bottom up. And then just make sure that is even on the other side, and you have your tree. All right, let's try the ring design. This is a classic design, I'm told, that this was being done back in the 70s. I had never seen it or heard of it before, so this one was new to me, and it is a really fun design. It actually does work as a ring. It's a little bit fiddly though. It's not hard, but it's fiddly to get it to turn out looking exactly right. And you'll probably see me fiddling with it a lot to get it to turn out right. You probably won't be able to use your paper money or your play money for this. And you might want to use a slightly older bill so that it's a little bit more flexible. That's what I'm going to try this time. So just be patient with it, and you might need to mess with it a little bit, but as you get good at it, it will go faster. So to start with, we need to start with our bill facing up. And you want to fold down all of the blank part at the top and bottom of the bill. So when you flip it over and you can see there's blank areas at the top and bottom of the bill, that's what we're folding over. So fold over just those blank areas as straight as you can. And the next step is to fold the bill completely in half. And then completely in half again. And if you've done this right, you should see framed pretty nicely that 1 on the other side. Now we're going to continue to frame this 1 by folding the blank part back on the right, and then folding on the left side of the 1, and this will be that front part of our ring. So make sure that that looks right before you continue on. And you've made sort of a little C. Now you can do this either direction. Most instructions will show you doing it from this side, and you can do it from this side as well. I'm going to show you doing it from the other side, from the right, but you can do it from the left as well. It doesn't really matter. It's a circular design. So from here, I'm going to face that front part, that 1, to the back. I'm going to lay that face down. And then you need to fold down a tail that you're going to use to hold your bill together, or to hold your ring together. And there's no exact place where you're going to do this. It kind of depends on the size of your finger. So what's going to happen is this is going to end up wrapping around and lining up underneath that 1. So you'll need to kind of estimate how big your finger is. So let's go ahead and make that ring part. I'm going to roll towards that 1 so that that tail lines up underneath the 1. And then from here, this is where it gets really tricky. So the idea here is that you're going to pull this tail up. You're going to wrap this tail up underneath that 1. And then I like to go ahead and tuck this edge under right here before I go down inside my ring. So go ahead and tuck that edge under, and then tuck your tail down inside the ring. And you can see how it's starting to lose its shape right there, so I want to try to prevent that from happening. I'm going to go ahead and pull that back out and do that again and try to keep it, try to make it maintain its shape without fanning out down there at the bottom. Because my next step is going to be slipping that little end bit into that gap right there. So you might start just from one edge and use your nail to encourage it down into that gap. Or you might even need, again, to readjust there, make it a little bit thinner. So this is the fiddly part that I was warning you about. But once you get it in, and then the other thing you might want to do is, if you have one of those paper clips handy from one of your other designs, here we go. So if you have one of your paper clips handy from one of your other designs, you can also use that to encourage those corners down into that gap. And you're done. Everything is held into place. So it looks like I've made one that's maybe a little bit larger than before, but now I have 2 rings. Again, you can do it from either side. Most instructions show you starting with that one on the left. I did it from the right. Either way works. It's the very same concept. Now let's try a design that uses 2 bills. So this is either an ornament, or some places call this design a spinner, because theoretically you can hold it between 2 fingers and spin it. Kind of hard to hold it loosely enough to really make it spin, but you get the idea. So this is actually 2 separate pieces, if I can get them apart. There we go. So that's why we'll need 2 different bills. And this is actually really simple. You've already done most of these folds before. Actually, I think all of these folds before, and it's just a matter of combining them into this one shape. So to begin, you're going to fold your bill in half, and actually I think I'll start from with the back side facing up. I'm trying to make it opposite of what I did before. So yeah, I think back side facing up will make it opposite of what I ended up with before. So you're going to fold completely in half. Fold in half this way. Done this many times before. And then we're going to do pretty much the beginning of the sailboat. So you're going to fold up along that center line. And then again, fold up along the center line. And if you remember the next step from the sailboat, we're going to unfold and then tuck these folds inside. So we're turning that fold inside out, we're inverting that fold. And then we want to do it again on the other side. So there's my guidelines right there. And now we want to cover up that gap. So we're going to turn one flap, kind of like the pages of a book. And do the same thing on the other side. And then from here, we're simply going to fold down both sides equally. Fold down all of the corners. So we're going to fold down one corner and try to make it exactly a right triangle, a right angled triangle. So going straight across the bottom there. Do the same on the other side. Flip it over. Do the same thing. So instead of doing 2 uneven sides like we did with the sailboat, we're going to make both sides even this time. So all the way down to make a straight line. And you'll get to see me do this twice because I'm going to make 2 pieces. All the way down, make a straight line. And now, if we fold this in half, and fold this in half, now we have 4 flaps. And we have one side that is a pocket, so they call this the pocket in the original instructions, and one side that's a tab. So the side that is a little bit messier looking, you want to hide that ultimately. So there's our pocket and our tab. Let's make another one. Okay, let's do that again. So we're going to start by folding up, folding in half, folding up along that center line, repeating on the other side. Open up, tuck the two sides in, invert the folds, however you want to term this move here. Do the same thing on the other side. Open one flap, open the other flap, fold one corner, and then straighten if necessary so that everything's laying right on top. Fold the other corner, flip over and repeat. So we got a little bit of unevenness there. That shouldn't matter too much. So again, try to make a fold straight across and repeat on the other side. And we have another piece. Once we fold there and fold there, we have another piece with 4 flaps. And now we just need to combine the two. So we want to face them like this so that what they're terming a tab, so this is a tab, can go into the pocket. And as you're doing that, you just want to kind of rotate, and you may need to do a little bit of unfolding there to make sure that each tab goes into a pocket. And once everything is lined up, you will just push them together, sharpen up your folds, and you have your ornament or your spinner, however you want to name it. And again, to hang it, you would simply add a paper clip and a piece of string. And there we have our ornament. Alright, let's end with what I think is the most complicated of these designs I'm showing you, and that will be this heart bookmark. And I think this looks good made with a $5 bill. You can use whatever denomination bill you like, of course. So this one again is, I think, the most difficult of these, but if you have been practicing the other designs, hopefully you won't find it quite as difficult. So you're going to start with the bill with the back facing up, and you need to make some guidelines. And so to do that, you will fold in half and open, and then fold both the bottom and the top to the middle. And then open. So you've made 3 guidelines. 1, 2, 3. Now we are going to do something very similar to what we did on the index card frog. And you will fold and make a triangle and open, and then fold again to make a triangle and open. So now we have an X, and now you need to make a line through that X. So you'll simply fold down through the center of that X. And now, just as with the frog and with a couple of the other designs that we've done, the sailboat, you will tuck these inside, tuck the sides inside underneath by inverting that fold. And I've seen this called the water bomb base. So this does have a name. Origami figures and folds, a lot of them have names. Okay, this next step is the hardest part. I even had to pause the video myself and practice it once or twice. So I will try to show what is going on here. What you're going to do is you're going to lift up this flap, and you can even just fold it completely over to get it out of the way. And you need to fold this side in, and at the same time you'll be lifting up so that you can tuck all of that under and end up with a triangle shape right there. So basically you're just going to tuck under as far as you can that flap so that you end up with that triangle shape. I'm going to do it again on the other side so you can see. So again, I've just folded that flap over and out of the way. I'm going to lift this up and fold this in, and then I'm just going to kind of run my finger up here fold to tuck that material under so that the rest will lay down, fold down, and make that triangle shape. So let me do that one more time. I'm going to undo what I just did and do it again. So we're starting from the water bomb. So starting from there, I'm going to fold this back. I'm going to make a pocket right there. I'm going to fold this in. And at the same time, I'm going to be tucking all of this under. So that I end up with that triangle shape. And again on the other side, I'm going to fold that back, pull this up to make a pocket, fold in, push all that up to where when I fold it down, when I lay it down flat, it creates that triangle shape. Alright, so now we have something that looks a little bit like an arrow. You need to make a guideline by folding the tip of the arrow down to the bottom and then folding it back up again. And now here's another challenging step. So we're going to hold this part down flat and closed, and you're going to open up this part. Okay, so see there? And as you're opening, you need to make this material form a point to lay right on top of this. So in order to do that, you'll use your fingers to make that fold lay right on top of the previous fold. So you should end up with something that is pointed at the top, and then you have a straight line down here at the bottom. And even though you don't know it yet, you actually have most of your heart already done, because what we're going to do now is we're going to flip our design over and we're going to fold. So there's that line again that you made. We're going to fold along that line and flip that whole thing over to the other side. And so now we already have most of our heart. We just need to make the curves at the top. So to do that, you'll just fold one of those inner corners back. This is just like our very simple heart designs fold one of the outer corners back, fold the other inner corner back about the same amount, and then fold the other outer corner back the same amount. And there is our heart bookmark. And you can see the Lincoln faces ended up in different places because I started the heart at a different end, so at one end versus the other. So give this one a try. If you've practiced all the other designs, give this one a try. I always like to sneak a bookmark in my crafts because of course we are the library. And I hope you've had fun practicing all of these different money origami designs. There are a lot more out there, very, very complicated ones, and I look forward to maybe seeing some of your creations.